Hi there, welcome to the latest edition of my 10-minute moan, and the topic of this 10-minute moan is the murder, Charlie Kirk, what it actually means to the rest of the world, because this has got to change things. And it immediately, when his death was confirmed, conversation I had with someone 2 months ago came straight back into my head. And that was something I don't talk about. I've never spoke about this publicly because I don't want to be that name-dropping, look at me, Johnny Big Cigar guy. But it was so profound last night that I have to share it. And the night I was arrested, or not the night I was arrested, rather the night it became public knowledge that I was arrested, Tommy Robinson phoned me and was on the phone for a long time. And we were discussing several things. And he was adamant at that point that free speech had to be the biggest driver for any campaigns because everything's intertwined with it. Everything that we are concerned about in society just now ends up back at free speech. And he said something to me that night that raised my eyebrow then. And that was a comment that free speech is a hill we must die on. And I got it. I understood what he was saying, but it kind of didn't mean anything. It was just a saying. And then last night, when the death of Charlie Kirk was confirmed, that phrase just came straight back into the front of my head. And it's kind of, it's what, a good 12 plus hours later, I can't get the thought out of my head. Because I actually think it's quite a profound statement. And regardless of your politics, regardless of what you feel important about in life and in society in general right now, that has got to be important to you, the notion of free speech. And I don't care what your politics are, I don't care what it is you want to say. And it doesn't matter Charlie Kirk's politics. Anybody that doesn't see this as an attack on the heart of democracy, the heart of free speech, the heart of the Western world, has to give their head a shake. And it's disgusting with some of the quotes you're seeing online by people who are actually celebrating this young man, this young father of 2 children. His death, his murder has been celebrated in some quarters. And I remember a year ago being asked in a public forum, as a proud Scottish unionist, did I think the notion of Scottish nationalism should be destroyed? And my answer was simple, no. And when I was asked to explain that, my explanation was quite simple. When we start deciding that some people are allowed some notions and others are not, then it's just a matter of time before your notions are the ones that are not allowed. And who gets to decide what is wrong and right? We now have a guy that was murdered for his opinions. Ironically talking at a rally where the discussion was to be about quite a contentious subject in America, and that is gun control. And it doesn't matter your beliefs, gun control or not. It doesn't matter your beliefs in the Scottish Constitution. It doesn't matter your beliefs about how this country should work. It doesn't matter your beliefs on immigration, asylum seeking, legal or not. It doesn't matter your opinion on COVID. It doesn't matter your opinion in any topic in the world. You shouldn't die for it. You shouldn't be murdered in broad daylight in front of 3,000 people. And it doesn't matter if you're Charlie Kirk. It doesn't matter if you are Malcolm X. It doesn't matter if you're Martin Luther King. It doesn't matter if you're Robert F. Kennedy. These men were all murdered, either giving speeches about their opinions, or, in the case of Robert Kennedy, immediately after. And their opinions would be different, and their opinions may conflict. There was things that one or two of them might have found important that others didn't, and they felt other things were important in the world. Yet every single one of them was murdered. Well, using free speech and the ability to talk to others in a forum in public. And that's wrong, regardless of your politics. And it worries me that some people are standing up and saying this is fine. Others are saying it's deplorable. And it's not everybody that's saying it's deplorable, because if you think this man was murdered because of his political views and you think that's acceptable, then my God, I don't want the society you wish, because that society is wrong. So what happens next? Well, one of two things. Either everything changes or nothing changes. And I can't believe for a minute nothing changes. Because for something to change, it can either go to the left or it can go to the right. And if the two options are the media have to take responsibility for this, or at least a portion. Nobody in the media pulled the trigger, I think. But the way people like Charlie Kirk, the way people like Tommy Robinson, and even in a very, very small comparison, even the way I've been described in the local papers in Scotland, is wrong. It is ugly. It is the same for normal people up and down the length of Britain. They're described by the mainstream media as far-right racist thugs, coked-up grannies, all this stuff. I've seen it. I've read it from my own eyes. But the media describe people who have concerns about our society. The way these things are reported, and it's not just the media, our judiciary, apparently by our leaders, seem to be doing the same. Our political leaders were very quick out the gates when people were so upset by the murder of three beautiful young girls on their own doorsteps in Southport that they took to the streets. And yes, some of their behaviour was appalling, but the vast majority were appalled by what we had just witnessed as a nation. Yet these very people are claimed by our own parliament, our own government, that they were far-right racist bigots for having an opinion. And this is a narrative, this is a language that has to stop, because it gets people who don't agree with your Charlie Kirks, who don't agree with your Tommy Robinsons, into a frenzy of vile language, which can lead to what we all witnessed last night in Utah. Now, I'm not saying it's the sole blame of the media and the establishment for using these terms, but I guarantee you something, it doesn't help. And when people are taken to the streets in Epping and Falkirk and Aberdeen and all these places and Ballymena, all places I've visited myself in the recent weeks, their concerns are the safety of their children and their females. Yet when the stories of protests are circulated in our media and spoke about by our establishment, these concerns are ignored. We use language like far-right, racist, fascist, all these box-ticking exercises to turn people against them. And unfortunately, certain people are put into that mindset. They put a gun sight up to their eye and they pull the trigger. So we have to either improve as a society, or we will get worse if nothing is done about it. It is impossible for the world not to change today after that murder of Charlie Kirk, because nothing changing is not an option. So we either become a better society by doing something, and that is driving change in a narrative, or it will get worse because we will see more of this. And Tommy Robinson's words, I can't get them out of my head, to me 3 months ago, of this free speech critic, this is a hill we'll die on. And he was right again. And again, you don't need to agree with Tommy Robinson. You don't need to agree in everything he does to ignore that statement today is completely foolish. So what are you going to do, media? What are you going to do, establishment? Because doing nothing is not an option. This is either going to get better because yous change the narrative. Yous have a positive impact in society, and not just the society, the people in that society that you agree with politically or otherwise. You now have the responsibility to make changes for the better and stop this narrative of putting people in a box. Because what does it lead to? It leads to bodies in boxes. Shame on you if you don't even consider the notion of your part in that, as small as it may be. If you want others to see this video, click the thumbs up, hit the share, and put your comments below. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell. More important than all that, unless you're the type of person who can put a gun sight to your eye and pull the trigger because you don't agree with someone else's opinions, because that's all they are. Or if you're the type of person that doesn't help these situations by the way you talk about others with opposing opinions to yours, then not you. But everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.